Over the years, Ubisoft has made some amazing open world games, from Assassin's Creed to Far Cry. And then there are games like Ghost Recon Wildlands that have a pretty unique open world gameplay experience. Made me wonder why Wildlands open world was so underrated. Was it because it's a Ubisoft game? Or was it just a bad game in general? But first, we need to know what actually makes a great open world game. Well, in my opinion, a great open world game immerses players in a world with life, be it through dynamic ecosystems and depth. They also include player freedom, with diverse approaches to the gameplay, from stealth to attacking anything on sight, but also having choices that have meaningful impact on the world. Also, having experiences that are unique where people can play the same game and have different stories that feel special to them. But let's be real, there are very few games that perfectly encapsulates this vision of an open world game. So a game having 2 to 3 of these things is already objectively a great game, to be honest. But when we are talking about great open world games, we tend to think of a few, like the Elder Scrolls games, the GTA games, the Witcher game series, and maybe even Crimson Desert. The GTA games, especially GTA 5, we can use them as a benchmark for their amazing open world. Los Santos epitomizes world detail with a hyper-realistic urban world mirroring Los Angeles, packed with a large variety of radio stations that help immerse players in the world, a variety of wildlife creatures, and various missions and activities that help build out the lore of the game, whilst also giving players a reason to explore the map. Ghost Recon Wildlands presents Bolivia as a vast open-world environment, spanning over 400 square kilometers. It is bigger than Los Santos, by the way, meticulously crafted to evoke a sense of authenticity rather than a hyper-detailed world. This design choice creates a cohesive national landscape divided into 21 interconnected provinces across 11 distinct ecosystems, from salt flats to rainforests, allowing seamless travel that mirrors real-world geography without rigid loading screens. Developers at Ubisoft Paris emphasized procedural generation layered with handcrafted elements to ensure regions feel organically linked, fostering immersion through consistent biomes and civilian life patterns. And crazy enough, Wildlands map creates Bolivia at a 5:1 scale ratio to the real country, ensuring provinces like Itacua and Okro transition naturally without artificial barriers, promoting a sense of national continuity. Unlike games with loading gates and mismatched biomes, Wildlands employ a single seamless world where weather, time cycles, and faction patrols evolve across borders organically. The 21 provinces form a strategic web connected by the Santa Blanca cartel, with players disrupting operations that affect distant regions, reinforcing the stakes. This design drew real-world inspiration from Bolivia's geography, including accurate depictions of landmarks like Uinui salt flats. NPCs in Wildlands follow dynamic daily schedules, with civilians engaging in routines like farming, market visits, and gatherings, adding layers of realism. There are contextual dialogue that allows NPCs to react to player presence, weather, or cartel disruptions, simulating a real society. This subtly avoids over-interactions, letting players observe unprompted behaviors like villagers tending livestock or chatting idly, which builds immersion through environmental storytelling. Cartel convoys patrolled dynamically, transporting pharmaceuticals and arms between outposts, with routes adapting to player interface like ambushes or supply raids. La Unidad forces and Santa Blanca operatives move in coordinated patrols, exhibiting vigilance patterns such as checkpoints and roaming squads that respond to alerts realistically. This creates an experience where disrupting one convoy cascades effects nationwide, mirroring real-world logistics without repetitive loops. And realistically, Bolivia doesn't feel like an over-designed theme park. There's no mandatory collectibles, and even though there's vast empty expanses between settlements, this mimics the real Bolivia rural sparsity, prioritizing atmosphere over density. Ubisoft's philosophy focused on believability through scale, using satellite data and local consultations to avoid cartoonish exaggerations of Bolivia. This resulted in a world where immersion stems from subtlety, like distant cartel lights or villager routines, rather than the usual hotspots in games. Overall, Wildlands masterfully crafts Bolivia as a believable, connected world through subtle NPC routines, dynamic cartel movements, and restrained design that doesn't feel too much like a game. Its avoidance of theme park tropes creates a world that replicates real-world Bolivia. The game's mission structure emphasizes simplicity with flexible objectives, allowing players to approach targets via stealth infiltration, loud assaults, or long-range sniping without pre-planned paths. This design philosophy allows players to integrate tools like drones, sync shots, and the terrain, creating gameplay loops that rewarded experimentation. But the missions still follow a straightforward blueprint: locate a target lieutenant, disrupt operations, and extract intel. But, like I said, the execution remains entirely on how the player wants to play the game. And this flexibility arises from non-linear progression. You can tackle 11 cartel bosses in any order after gathering intel from rebels, creating your own experience. Stealth demands noise discipline, with patrols alerted by footsteps or unsilenced shots, while loud assaults leveraged chaos from vehicle explosions. Long-range sniping required scopes and predicting trajectories, accounting for bullet drop and wind. These choices interconnect. A stealth breach can escalate to assault if detected, or snipers can initiate sync shots from afar. Ghost Recon Wildlands embodies freedom that matters by prioritizing player discovery over handholding, with simple missions enabling stealth, assault, or range dominance. Synergies like drone sync terrain combos create infinite strategies, fulfilling the principle: the game doesn't tell you how to play, it just gives you space to figure it out. Showing that Wildlands does have that unique experience you can have when playing an open world game. However, it does have one major weakness, and that's its story. For example, Witcher 3 redefines storytelling in its open world, with 36-hour main quests branching into moral dilemmas, yielding 3 possible endings and about 72 hours of total gameplay time, with side quests that rival the main story in depth and length. And that's just the objective stuff. Subjectively, Witcher 3's story is amazing, but unfortunately, like with most Ubisoft open world games, Wildlands emphasizes procedural missions over narrative depth. People tend to criticize the story for its weak narrative, poor voice acting, and forgettable characters, making it serviceable but not memorable. Even though it has this amazing lore with the cartels. Unfortunately, it all boils down to we're the good guys, they're the bad guys. Looking back as to why I think Wildlands open world was underrated, it's probably because it was a Ubisoft game and people were just sick of the amount of Ubisoft games they were releasing. When you actually think about it, Wildlands launched in 2017 and it entered a crowded market saturated by Ubisoft annualized franchises. Ubisoft faced significant fatigue from gamers, stemming from repetitive open-world formulas in Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and the Watch Dogs series. Me personally, I felt burnt out, because when Wildlands was released, it felt like another Ubisoft checklist game, diluting its tactical identity. The sales were strong initially, at 1.7 million units in its first week, but sustained engagement lacked compared to expectations. There was also a very competitive year where 2017 saw games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn dominating, with Wildlands' tactical focus clashing against these games. And even within Ubisoft, The Division, released in 2016, set looter-shooter expectations for Wildlands, leading to direct comparisons where Wildlands' military sim felt less hype. And I'll be real with you, when I heard about Wildlands, I was expecting an open world that is more free than The Division, but we will have loot. When you actually play Wildlands, it feels like an open world single player game with co-op. It doesn't feel like the same game as Division. And everyone let Ubisoft know that was what they were expecting with the Wildlands game. So when Ubisoft decided to make a second game, which is Ghost Recon Breaking Point, this was supposed to be Ubisoft's pivot on the tactical shooter series, introducing loot systems and drone-heavy combat that diverged sharply from the immersed focused gameplay of Wildlands. Released in 2019, Breaking Point emphasized gear tiers, power levels, and randomized loot drops, transforming the title into a looter-shooter hybrid rather than a poor stealth tactical experience. And this shift, funny enough, led to widespread community backlash, with players realizing post-release that Wildlands offered a way superior immersion through its grounded open-world Bolivia setting and flexible mission approaches. So ironically enough, Ubisoft low-key hit the nail on what they wanted to do with the Ghost Recon games in Wildlands, but everyone just turned off by that. But when they finally gave everyone what they asked for in Breaking Point, everyone was like, Wildlands is just better. And it's pretty funny, because I felt the same way. It's a weird situation, because Wildlands came after The Division, and we were expecting Wildlands to have the Division looter-shooter aspect, but when they finally delivered on that with Breaking Point, everyone just accepted that Wildlands was just way better than Breaking Point. Overall, I will admit, Wildlands has a great open world that is immersive, and instead of going for a very dense world like GTA, they went for a more realistic world, and I can appreciate that. It also provides an experience where players are free to play the game however they want to play the game. They aren't restricted to a set routine or a set order of things. However, the story is the weakest point, and it's very weak. It's not memorable, and it's pretty cut and dry. But like I said before, if you have about 2 of these things, your game is pretty good. So I'll say this, Ghost Recon Wildlands is a great open world game, and I feel like it's very underappreciated. And that could be for various reasons. It could be because it's a Ubisoft game, it could be because it's too tactical of a shooter, or it could just be no one really wants to play it. Who knows? What do you think? Do you think Wildlands is an underappreciated game or open world game? Let me know down in the comments, and please be sure to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.